Hello, my friends. This is Terez Firewoman, and I am so incredibly excited to get to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, my amazing husband, Mr. John Hartmann.
Oh, shucks. What's all the hullabaloo?
Oh, I've been bragging on you for years and years and years. And it's so cool that in our course that we just created, Attracting Authentic Relationships Life Coach Certification, yes, I got to talk a lot about our love story and how that happened. But they got to hear mostly my perspective. And even though I shared a little teeny tiny sliver of what you shared with me, I would love for you to actually share some of your experience with our beautiful audience. So let me ask you this. So before you hooked up with this crazy chick right here.
Was there anything before that?
Oh, good answer. Good answer. What was going on with you? Like, let's just say before we met. So we met. Let me rewind the tape for just a second. So we actually knew each other for 2 years as buds before we crossed the line and had our first kiss and etc. And proposal happened and marriage happened, etc. But in order for us to even meet each other, the law of attraction was very much in progress. And I was just wanting to check with John and have him share his perspective with you of what was happening just before you were driving down the road that day. Do you remember what was going on in your life and how you were feeling and what was happening at that point?
So I was kind of feeling a little free, just being able to go where I wanted to, however long I wanted to, and go home whenever I wanted to, because nobody to answer to but me.
Awesome. So you were driving down the road, and what happened?
Well, I was just, as you said, driving along, and I heard music. I had the windows down in the car, and I heard music, and it was like, "Ooh, someone's playing live music," as I was driving past this place. And then as I was getting closer to it, I heard more of it, and I pulled over to the right lane just in case I might want to, stop in there, see what's going on. And as I did that, then I could hear more of the music and what was, it turned out to be her voice. And I was just stunned. I was like, okay, I've got to go in there now because I got to see who this person is.
Little rock and roll, Little Mermaid.
And so I'm walking through the parking lot in the back, and there's an entrance into they were playing outside. The stage was outside, but under like an awning type thing or a roof of some sort, like a breezeway. Yeah. And so I was able to come in through the back and, along the side of the stage. And as I, got in there, I'm looking up at the stage and surrounding area, and I saw her, and it was like, wow, okay. The visual just goes right along with the great voice, and
and I'm not paying him to say this, just so you know. This is legit.
I was just, wow, dang. I have no chance with somebody like that, but whatever. And then once I got in there and I sat at, I think it was a high top that actually somebody had just left. So I sat there and got a beer and was watching their last song or two, at least during that set. Here she is. I think you might have been on a table at that point.
I was actually standing on a table. Yes, for real. I was.
Yeah, she quite the entertainer. And so And
this was not an adult entertainment place, just so you know.
Yeah, not
It wasn't that kind of table dance.
But I was sitting, a couple tables away, looking at her, going back and forth with with she's singing and the guys are singing as well, harmonizing incredibly, and she's up there on the table and just bopping away, and I'm thinking to myself, I could never keep up with that. Little did I know. Wow. So went over and talked to her, and of course she did the thing that any girl that's in a relationship already would do, and make sure that she mentions her boyfriend. So and that's, my mom raised me. You don't even think about going there with that kind of stuff, and I didn't. So, but I did get. I think I got your pager number or something.
Pager number.
That's
that tells you a little bit about when this was going on.
Because it had a message. It had an outgoing message that told about what the band was doing and where they were going to be performing.
So let me interject. So with all of this, you were just enjoying your life, enjoying your freedom, being you, and following something that you just were authentically connected to, which clearly is music. You see a shirt, right? This has been him from day one. From the first time I met John, he was a music fan from the word go. He had 8 billion record albums, like legit giant albums, piled in his home, a collection of like 1,000?
2,000.
2,000.
Over 2,000, yeah.
So he was being him, and he was following what he was being called to do that was just authentic, real. And then, throw in a chick standing on a table, and, the rest is history.
Pretty one at that.
No. So here's what was going on my side at that particular time. So I had about approximately 2-ish years before meeting John. That is when there was the end of an engagement that I had talked to you guys about in the course, that I almost married another gentleman. And it was a very rocky, crazy, emotional time in my life. So about 2 years or so after that is when I met John. And I, at one point, was dating the leader of the band at that moment. We were actually no longer dating, and there was a new gentleman that I had just started dating who was out in the audience. But before that, I had been seeing other people, had some really interesting relationships, and I remember this as if it happened yesterday. I was outside looking up at the stars, just over all of the knuckleheads that I've been hanging out with. And I looked up to the sky and I said, universe, I want my soulmate and I want him now. I went home and I looked myself in the mirror and I repeated that again. I want my soulmate and I want him now. Well, a couple of weeks after the proclamation to the universe, the angry proclamation, so clearly there was still some resistance going on in my vibration, I had that gig. And that particular day, I was also in a really happy, high vibe place, because music was my happy place too. And I am just so enjoying singing, and I'm feeling myself. I'm just in the moment, rocking out with my buds that are just incredible. And even though I'm no longer dating this other gentleman who's in the band, who actually was the leader of the band, it was peaceful. It was good. It was harmonious. It was working. It was cool. And the new relationship I had just started was really fun. And I was just feeling like I'm in alignment. Life is good. And so while I'm up, I'm rocking out, I'm doing my thing, I happen to turn and look to the right. And he's there. He's right here, right now. Look at that. He put himself in this.
Yeah, I came in on that side of the stage.
Yes.
Oh, well.
I saw him, and it was like my soul recognized him immediately. I saw him, I saw his eyes, I saw his smile, I felt his being, and my response, and I figure I can say this to you guys, was, oh shit. I want my soulmate and I want him now. I demanded that to the universe. Da, 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 da. There he is. But guess what? Brand new boyfriend. Not a good time. So for a couple of years after that initial meeting and after John became a fan of the band, and then I found out he played saxophone. Oh yeah, baby. And he even sat in with the band and such. Well, a lot happened in that 2-year period of time that my ex-boyfriend very quickly suddenly passed away. And that was intense. Was still dating the new gentleman at the time who actually was very kind and sweet and loving and really helped me through that very difficult period. But that relationship ended. I started dating other people. And this was also that period of time where I started spending more time with me. Just like John, when he was talking about, I was, in that space of actually just living my life, going where I want to go, doing what I wanted to do, and loving my freedom. It was such a powerful, powerful part of my process of being able to truly connect with that vibration of love and actually to love myself and start really knowing who I was. And so during this time, we developed this really beautiful friendship because our relationship started when I was involved. And at some point he was dating another girl. So it was always like not quite the right time, but there was still that initial connection. And both of us, and I'll interject this piece, after the gentleman my ex had passed away, and I just kind of fell off the map for a bit, John wasn't getting any more messages on the pager about where the next gig was because for a little while there wasn't the next gig. But somehow he found me. I joke around and call him my stalker. But when he did, it was this feeling of relief. And I think I may even have said to you, I am so glad you found me.
Mm-hmm. Something pretty close to that.
That's interesting. I just made the connection with the song, by the way, I Will Find You song that I mentioned in the course as well. Very interesting. But I felt so thankful because regardless of the external circumstances that were going on, there was this connection that was so powerful that I knew that I had to have him in my life in one way or another. And fast forward, and at one point we're having a conversation. There were a couple of different guys that I had started dating, and there was some potential with these guys. And I remember saying to John, maybe one of these guys is it, maybe they're not, but one thing I know for sure is you're going to be at my wedding. I had no idea how prophetic that was at that particular moment.
She even joked about the possibility of me being her maid of honor.
My maid of honor, but I wouldn't make him wear a dress. But this whole relationship experience that we started cultivating was this amazing friendship. There was no bullshit. There was no trying to behave and be all perfect with each other. That John was always chill, always just being himself. I was always being the crazy version of me that I was. And just he was my best friend anyway. He was willing to love and accept me exactly as I was back then. And I certainly felt the same way about him. And so while we're having this little dance back and forth, we're getting now closer in the timeline to when you and I actually had the first kiss and all of that.